Welcome to the living room studio, everyone. I am your man in Japan, jcontra, and I'm here with my October pickup video. I was lucky enough to visit the prefectures of Kumamoto and Saga down here in Kyushu, and I'd like to tell you a couple stories. First, my trip to Kumamoto, where I got to see the Yatsushiro Fireworks Festival. It is something unlike I've ever seen before. I've been a couple times before, but this is a real premier fireworks festival that happens towards the end of October, which is a little different from other fireworks festivals in Japan, which I highly recommend you go to if you're in Japan around July or August. It's a real summer kind of festival where you have food stalls everywhere with delicious yakitori. If you're in Saga, you've got castello, which is this kind of pancake kind of bread thing, snack that you can eat. Oh, they've got this new Korean thing, which is this like corn dog, but it's mostly cheese. Oh my god, it's so bad for you, but it is so good. Anyway, this fireworks festival is very special because it's an event where fireworks makers will premiere new kinds of fireworks, and it just has so many more fireworks going on at the same time, especially in the grand finale. So if you're in Kumamoto, definitely recommend checking it out. And they've also got some phenomenal HardOffs there. I also would like to give a shout out to Jay from Will's VG Addiction. I'll have the link somewhere around here. And it was really cool running into you. Good hunting. So for the games that I've picked up, I've actually kind of been not picking up as many games as I have in the past, but I'm still into the GameCube, baby. This is Mario Party 4. This is the first Mario Party for the GameCube, and it's kind of reminding me about why I don't like Mario Party all that much, and that's because it's really a drag when you're playing it by yourself. Now, you can get people together to play the Switch Mario Party, like Super Mario Party, or whatever it's called, but who are you going to convince? Who are the 3 other people you're going to convince to play Mario Party 4? I would like to get people together to play the Mario Parties for the N64. This is not worth playing. I actually didn't find it to be that much fun. So put that to the side, and then we've got Wave Race Blue Storm. This was a launch title for the GameCube in Japan, and I believe it was in North America as well. But this was really crazy to me playing this because I've been playing a lot of SNES and N64 games recently. So jumping into the graphics on this, on a GameCube game, oh man, this is real. This is unreal to me. It was really phenomenal, and it really all came together for me with the Rumble, because the Rumble, the way they programmed it and the way it syncs up with what's going on the screen really was so cool and really immersed me into the racing, jet ski action of the game. That was so cool, and it's challenging. The problem is that the way the cups are structured is that you're playing like 4 races and you've got to clear them pretty well, and that can be pretty difficult. So you're playing the same 4 tracks over and over again, and that's kind of why I beat the first cup, and then it was on to the next PlayStation game that I picked up, which is Alive. This was released in 1998. This is a Japan-only game. This is an FMV, 3-disc game. I think in America, we're kind of used to FMV games having come out, or having been released in the mid-90s. Apparently in Japan, this looks like it cost a lot of money to produce. Like, they had a lot of extras. It seems like it was a full movie production because this game seems to last probably about anywhere from an hour and a half to an hour if you play it perfectly. And that actually is the reason why I did not actually beat this game, simply because you cannot skip scenes. You can save a lot, but you can't skip scenes. So when you get to a particularly difficult part like I did with a kind of car chase, you've got to react to these QuickTime events so fast that you've got to end up just doing one after the other, and you repeat the same thing over and over again, so you can just memorize the sequence. You memorize the first button, do everything over again. The second button, do everything over again. The third button. And it just really kind of ended up making me bored and angry. So I did not beat the game. Next up, we've got something that I've been looking for freaking ever, a VMU unit. Which I picked up in the junk section for about $4. And this is actually kind of hard to come by now. after going through pretty much every HardOff on this whole freaking island, like, 20, 25 different HardOffs, Lucid Dreamcasts are easy enough to find for about $40. They're about 4,300 yen, depending on where you go. Box Dreamcasts, on the other hand, I have found 2 on the whole island of freaking Kyushu. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I think in Japan we just celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Dreamcast's launch. America will be celebrating next year, 9/9/2019. But in Japan, I think the collecting fervor for the Dreamcast is at fever pitch. So even the VM units are hard to come by. And the reason this was in the junk section was it worked. I tested it. The only problem is that, of course, with these things, they eat through the batteries so fast that it makes that beeping sound whenever you load up the Dreamcast, and you've got to replace the 2, not just 1, the 2 CR2032 batteries, which is crazy, but that's, I guess, what Sega chose to do. Next up, so moving away from the games, I've actually kind of personally been moving, not completely away from game collecting, but I have been moving towards computer collecting. And this is something I actually picked up a few months ago, but I didn't show off until now. This is a late 90s. I actually can't tell what the when this actually came out, but this is a beautiful Apple keyboard. This is the Japanese version, so the keys are kind of all over the place. But I love this, the white and the clear plastic contrast. This is a fantastic mechanical keyboard. It's got great response. Oh, just listen to those keys. It's phenomenal sound. And it's kind of weird because remember back in the late 90s, Apple was all about simplifying things, which, take that for what you will. But it's USB 1, so it has these ends here. So the thing is that this is actually a very short cable. This can't be more than 3 or 4 feet. And so the idea is you would take this, plug it into your computer, and then you would plug in the Apple mouse, which is, again, this is a Pro mouse. This might have come out with the Power Mac G4. It's of course only one button, so it's really annoying when you're trying to play games. And I have this this USB 3 gaming Logitech mouse that I picked up for like $25. That's got 20 buttons on it. That does not work with these. Not only does it not work with these USB 1 ports, but on some of the older computers that I've tried, modern mice with, because I want to use 2 whole buttons when I'm playing games, they don't connect because I think they just don't draw. I think they need USB 2 in order to draw the necessary power. So I got the keyboard and mouse, and then something else I picked up. Please excuse me while I walk off the screen for a second. I found this at the local HardOff. This is a beast. This is I think it's 23 inches. This is a 23-inch Apple Cinema HD display that displays in 1920 by 1200. This is an absolute monster. It's heavy, but oh, it looks so beautiful whenever you do connect something. The only problem is that I hope you can see this on the camera. While this might deceive you, and you probably can't exactly tell, and it looks like a DVI cable. This is not a DVI cable. The problem with these monitors, and and it's a tragedy because I love just how this is designed. It's the apex to me of Apple's late 90s design where they use the clear plastic. It even has these touch buttons. You touch, there's no, you power it on by just kind of touching your nose. I think it's capacitive or whatever that means. So what you're doing is, there's no actual button, it's just feeling your finger whenever you touch it. Down there. And then it also has some brightness control here, but I've never actually gotten this to work. But this is a great display. The only problem is that this is what is called the Apple Display Connector. And this is an insane idea where they wanted to make it simple for everyone. So they wanted to reduce the wires that you had going from PC to monitor. So this is a USB connector, because on the back here, let me flip that around. This actually has 2 USB ports. So the idea is not only could you attach USB storage to this, but over here, you've got 2 USB ports, so you can plug your mouse into the laptop, mouse into the keyboard and the keyboard into the monitor, and that's why the keyboard was so short. Now, of course, this anticipated that instead of buying, a $200 monitor, you would buy Apple's $1,000 HD monitor, or however much this cost. I'm actually not sure about that. This cost me $10, and the reason is because it was in the junk section, and because you can't, this is test, because this, going back to the ADC connector, this is USB, power, there is no power cord on this. You actually need an adapter, like $100 adapter, if you want to plug in a DVI port into this. If you want to connect your computer to this that does not have the Apple Display connector, which only came out on Macs, on like Power Macs, in the early 2000s, you need a $100 adapter, which you can then plug this thing into the wall and then a computer into this thing. And so that brings me to my final point. And I did not get this at a HardOff. I actually bought this on Mercari, which is kind of like a Japanese eBay, sort of. It's sort of kind of overtaking Yahoo Auctions. But this is now the crown jewel of my computer collection. Not that I collect a lot of computers, but this is a Power Mac G4 mirror drive doors from the year 2003. And the reason I bought this, the reason I was coveting this, is because this can run both OS 9 and OS 10 natively. And so the reason I picked this up is because I want to play like StarCraft, Warcraft 3, I want to play SimCity 3000, I want to play all those cool late 90s games that I think have varying levels of compatibility with Windows machines, and it's hard as hell to find, a native Windows 95 or Windows 98 or even a Windows XP machine these days at HardOff. But this machine is great. I was really lucky to find this one. This has a dual G4 processor. This is this is probably the fastest G4 you can get. The design is again that cool late 90s plastic and kind of metal that it's the metal of the mid 2000s that Apple ended up going with, and it was the plastic that I think made Apple famous in the late 90s. And when you open it up, I have put a little bit of modifications into this machine. I hope you can, you might not. Okay, well, you can't really see it on you can't really see it on the camera, but I put in 2 gigs worth of memory into this, and I also put in a really fast CD drive. But this is a great computer, and I'll actually be talking about this computer in future videos. So while not a HardOff item, it is something that I've picked up in the last month, and I ended up, I think, shelling out about $70. It was $50 for the machine, $20 for shipping, and that's because it also came with a monitor and a keyboard, and which I don't need and I'm going to get rid of, but I wanted it for this machine. I still got to clean off because this had like some covering, so that there's scratch resistant coverings for the mirrored drive door finish, which is the definition of this model. Anyway, so this kind of is where I'm kind of going towards, like, old PC games. That's kind of where my my retro gaming is going, although I'm still, of course, a big fan of the GameCube and the Dreamcast, so I'm still playing those games and keeping an eye out for them. And while I'm moving towards computer stuff, I'm still going to HardOffs, I'm still making videos. So I hope you look forward to those. I think coming up in the next couple of weeks, we've got visits to Miyazaki Prefecture. We're going to Kagoshima Prefecture down in the south of Japan. And I think continuing after that, we'll also look out at Saga Prefecture and sort of southern Fukuoka Prefecture. So, hope you stay tuned. I've been your man in Japan, jcontra, saying thanks for watching, see you next time, and mahalo.